Lesson 68, Probability Multiplication Rule. Okay, we're going to tape or glue right into our notes this tree right here. But let's just wait until the end of the lesson to glue it in. If you don't have one, make sure you pick one up at the back table or go to Miss Berry and ask her for one. So I'm just marking, this is where the bottom of my chart is going to go, so you guys could do that. What this this is called a tree diagram. So this is going to help us with all of the outcomes of flipping a coin and rolling a dice. So we can find all of the outcomes by writing or drawing this tree diagram. So to flip a coin, we can get heads or tails. And then when we roll the dice, we can get the number 1 through 6. So we could have heads, flip heads and roll a 1, or heads and 2, heads and 3, heads and 4. So we could get all of these outcomes. There's 12 of them. So there is a way to find out how many outcomes will be in an experiment. So we're going to glue that on at the end. And this is called the fundamental counting principle. Oh no, I just got this pen and it's running out of ink. Okay, so let me, principle. Okay. The fundamental counting principle says that if you have a 2-part experiment and one of the parts has M outcomes and the other part has N outcomes, the total outcomes is the product of those two numbers. So when we flip a coin, we had 2 outcomes. When we roll the dice, there's 6 outcomes. If you do 2 times 6, you get 12 outcomes. So when we put the 2 together and we flip a coin and roll a dice, we're going to have 12 total outcomes. So we're going to do an example. The question is, okay, we're going to roll 2 dice. So how many possible outcomes will there be? So the first roll, we have 6 outcomes. The second roll, we're going to have 6 outcomes. If we times those 2 together, we're going to have 36 total outcomes. Here's another example. We're going to roll 2 dice. How many outcomes if the first roll is even and the second roll is odd? So the first one, there's 3 even numbers, so there's 3 outcomes. The second one, there's 3 odd numbers, 1, 3, and 5. So we do 3 times 3. There will be 9 possible outcomes rolling 2 dice and getting the first one even and the second one odd. If we wanted to find the probability of getting an even on the first one and an odd on the second roll, it's going to be, there's 9 possible ways out of, there's 36 possible outcomes when you roll 2 dice. So 9/36, or 1/4 of the time, you'll get 1 even and 1 odd number when you roll 2 dice. The multiplication rule for probability. You know what? I'm going to put this on the next page. says that if you want to find the probability of A and B, you're going to take the probability of A and multiply it by the probability of B. So here's an example that uses that. You have 3 red marbles and 4 blue marbles. They're going to be in a bag, and then we're going to be selecting them out. So what's the probability of selecting a red, putting it back in the bag, and then picking blue? So the probability of getting red is 3 out of 7. The probability of getting blue with all the marbles in there is 4 out of 7. So we times those two together. This is the multiplication rule for probability. So 3/7 times 4/7 is 12 49ths. And that's the end of the lesson.